Hello, hello everyone. So yesterday was a complete kerfuffle. I'm still not exactly sure what happened, but my computer had to reset after doing a scan. And when I reset, I went to recovery mode. After I was in recovery mode for a little bit, I was able to go back to when I had last installed QuickTime. That was the only thing I had for recovery. It booted up fine then, so I decided to run a virus scan, see if everything was cleaned up, do some defragging. It rebooted from that and was just in an endless boot loop. So had to reinstall Windows, reinstall all my software. Files are okay. However, I wanted to do some lettering today, but my fonts are gone. I have some of them, but I've got a network drive here that's left over from the Windows 7 era that I had managed to get to talk to my old system before reinstalling Windows, and now I can't get it to talk to the new one. So I'm going to do some inking and developing of the next section of episode 2, which will be fun, and then I'll take a break after this episode is done, try to fix that, and then I'm going to air another episode, which will actually be today's episode, because I'm kind of making up for yesterday right now, and hopefully that will be all set and done. As you can see, I'm having to calibrate again just because it messed up on me. Alright, that is all set. So here we are, and cool, we got 3 watching. Hello everyone in Pittsburgh. Awesome. My buddy Rob. Yes, computer issues are horrible things to deal with. And I really wanted to not miss a day, at least the Monday through Friday schedule of doing this live show, because I think, it helps build an audience, helps build interest in the comic, and, these are tough times. We need all of the help we can get. So, those of you who are reading Dinosaur Man who are joining us, I know Rob said he's a big fan of it, but I'm not sure if you've watched any other videos. Kind of a spoiler alert going on with this, because I'm working on the next episode right now. Try not to give away too many details, but the, obviously you can see here on the screen, Dinosaur Man's jump at the very end of the first episode didn't go quite the way that he wanted. But no, it's cool. It's if you're joining me on here, you're pretty much part of my secret enclave of professionals and people I trust so far. It hasn't blown up to a larger audience. Okay, so I'm just going to get into here. Again, I'm working in Clip Studio. As I understand it, we've got some art school students in Pittsburgh hanging out, so glad you guys could be here to watch this folly. Let's kind of pick up where we left off. I still haven't been able to get back in color Dinosaur Man and his plunge here, but started off the story here with them rolling in, got all the colors done, except for these parts here. And the confrontation. I did a little tweaking after the episode was over, and I'm really happy with the way this is looking now. Good separation. I got nice cool colors on Shadow with him. That brings him forward, and everything in the background is kind of a little bit washed out with the manga reaction lines coming in. So that gives a good, like, dun dun dun. Because when you're working in comics, you're basically storyboard artists, and you have to tell as much of the story as possible through the visuals, so that you're not cluttering it up with the text. You got to have a happy balance between the two. Anyway, so we have a small panel here that I want to work out some more drawing-wise. This one I'm not happy with per se, so I'm going to avoid working on that one for this episode. This one here, though, is pretty much done, pretty much happy with it. So I'll start working on that and maybe do a little bit here with this one of Spaz. Got some other things. This is a really cool one, too. There's a little bit more drawing to do on this one. So basically the accident happens, and Spaz has watched the whole thing, so he's going to jump on the bike. He'll come to the rescue later on in the story, and the guys down here are getting getting themselves put back into shape, put back into order. And so, yeah, this might be a good place to start right down here at the bottom, this last panel. So I'm going to make a new layer. And, yep, you guys can see that. Cool. And I want to make sure that... So I always do all my drawing at a lower resolution, so I want to make sure I'm at the right resolution. Yep, 300. And I'll go ahead and bring the visibility of that down, and we will start in. Yeah, Rob, if you want to share it on social media, go right ahead. I think it would be cool to grow the audience a little bit more. I wanted to give another shout out to apparently the channel Indie Volt, which is an independent comic news site, has a Roku channel and has picked up and been broadcasting Dinosaur Man drawing sessions here for the 100-day challenge as part of it. And as I understand it, there's a good chunk of the small download community that have got that on their Roku who are watching. So I want to say hello to everybody out there. I guess there's some people in Canada. Hello to you. That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear it, and hopefully it'll be cool. All right, enough of that banter. So in the effort to try to keep things as interesting as possible, I'll talk as much as I can about what's going on, occasionally glancing over, looking for questions. If any of you have any questions and you're in the chat room, please feel free. Okay, there's a Wacom setting I forgot to fix. Wacom tablet, properties, this thing right here. Keyboard, keystroke, spacebar. I like being able to use my thumb button to move my canvas around, and makes it much easier for me. All right, so stabilization. Sweet. Thanks, Rob. One of the things that I really enjoy about drawing digitally, so with my disability, the scleroderma, showed you guys my hands. Scary. I tend to get a little bit shaky, so whenever I'm doing drawing in person, like at Comic Cons and stuff, I'm never happy with the way it looks, because I'm not steady enough. And drawing digitally allows me to have the smooth lines that I crave, and I can focus on just getting it done getting it done right, rather than hoping I don't have like a muscle spasm or cramp up and ruin a couple hours worth of somebody's commission. So I'm going to try to do this the smart way. I've been trying to make a habit of having two different layers. If you remember the color episode, I explained how you basically don't need a flatter with Clip Studio. So I'm trying to always get in the habit of doing large shapes on one layer. That way I can easily do the fills and then do the detail work on another layer, which would be all the little scratches and shadowing and anything of that nature. Yeah, those of you who don't know who Rob is, he has an awesome independent comic advocate group Written Sins. He does a lot of Facebook Live videos. He supports a lot of the independent creators, their Kickstarters. He's a really good guy to get to know if you're a young creator out there. He's an advocate for independent comics and a good friend as well. All right, so I just headed in the chat window there. Once Indie Volt can work on Chromecast, we'll start running it there. So Varian, if you're one of the people watching right now, get your channel up on Chromecast. Oop, don't do that. It's some of that detailing I'm going to save for a different layer. Trying not to rush through things with this, but I really want to get it up on there. First episode's just kind of been sitting there on Webtoon all by itself. And one of the things about doing the Webtoon webcomic thing, if you don't update, you don't grow an audience. So I'm really doing this for the long haul, so hopefully by March I'll be able to start doing weekly updates. Not quite as long of an episode as what we're working on with the first 3 or 4, maybe 5, which focuses on the introduction of all the characters and the story. And if I had it to do over again, I probably would have talked myself into waiting until I got 3 or 4 episodes done in the can and launched them all at once as a kind of an initial launch party, but I just needed to get this going so it would kick my butt into doing it. temporarily go to a new layer here for the hair. Got his cool 80s styled shades knocked off in the accident. So this is the first page we're seeing his, first panel that we're seeing his face. And this character here, is this guy. He's a Mavian, who's one of the primary humanoid races in this universe. We'll be seeing a lot more of them. This is kind of our first introduction to them as a people with this guy. Tips or rules of thumb for choosing colors. Well, at the risk of getting on a soapbox, one of the things that really irritates me about a lot of artists, and this is true in the professional world as well as like the fan art realm and what have you, is like there seems to be a propensity of doing things very dark. So one of the things that set myself apart is I try to make things as colorful as possible. Now, you definitely want to keep in mind color theory. So if you guys don't have a color theory class that you're taking in college, definitely make sure you take a color theory class, because you really want to get the idea of what, lights and darks, cools and warms, contrasting colors, how to separate out your foreground, middle ground, background with use of color, things of that nature. So, and there's a lot of experimentation that goes into it. You just want to see what works, but it's important to know why it also works. So, and when I've done my own teachings, I teach color as a tool. Everything, you kind of imagine that like you have a toolbox. Someone who works on cars has a toolbox. They have tools for specific things. Well, an illustrator has physical tools and mental tools. Mental tools would be, use of shape, use of line, contrast, rule of thirds, the golden ratio, concepts and technical mechanics like that. And then we also have our pencils or pens, the computer, those would be more like the physical tools. So color as a tool itself, you can use it the correct way or you can use it the wrong way. If you use it the wrong way, things are going to go really dark. Things are going to, if you're going to print, it's different than if you're going on screen. So one of the things that I'm doing when I'm picking my colors here is I'm keeping in mind to really not go to the far end of the gamut where you're getting those super hot reds, super hot greens, because those are all going to darken down if you're going to eventually to print. So I try to make things bright and colorful, but also stay within a range of colors that when I convert and start doing trade paperbacks and stuff, it's going to look okay printing as well. Also try to layer colors as much as possible too. You know, if you're doing mixing gradients, mix them with layers, not all in one layer. Alright, so I need to take a look at this drawing. This arm is raised, this bicep is coming up, so it's going to pull on the bicep muscle. So this is not correct. It's more like this. So I want to make sure and my drawing process is basically super rough and then refine, get to a point where since I'm inking my own stuff, I know, what I'm doing, so I can do all the detail work and the fine lines. But sometimes you just got to come in and get that. And we'll do some cuts and stuff in the fabric. Let's get this. That's better. Okay. Drop that one and back to it. Awesome. Thanks, Rod. Alright, so let's do some fun. Let's go and do some details. Smaller. So the reason why I'm doing this on another layer, just to clarify that, is that when I do those color fills, if I'm just doing it on a shape layer to fill everything, but if I have everything in one layer, all the inks, then these little areas here are going to end up being empty, not have a color going there, they'll be blocked out. So I want to avoid that, make it easier to get my base color in. So that's why we do it this way. Give him a nosebleed and he's not doing so hot. All shook up. I know Rob's probably nice and toasty down there in Florida. How's Pittsburgh doing? Supposed to get a bit of a warm up here soon. Yeah. Some cuts in the fabric, some wrinkles. Some shapes. details and just bugger this up. It's been wrecked against the rocks, crashed. And we got this broken windscreen, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that in this light blue. One of the things I forgot here is that there is a steering wheel. That's going to overlap everything else. So we'll do a new layer. And then I can come in here, go to transparency, and get rid of overlapping lines. That's another good thing too when you're doing comics. Putting things in a scene so you don't just have like a big area of his chest. You know, you have something interesting in the way as well. We'll just bring in a little bit more of his chest hanging over that. And then go into some detail. So this will help add a little bit of interest. Gives us more of an idea what's going on. Got the dash, got the windshield. Here is his rest of his driver's seat. And that is where This stuff isn't really too well worked out, but do some more detailing. Yeah, this part up here is the transport thing that the slave girl is trapped in. So it's come torn loose. Cables and things. Most of this will probably be covered up by the dialogue balloon anyway, so I can go more simplified on it. Yeah, let's see, we got windshield. Let's do some smoke and dust type thing. This is probably going to be a big fill area here. We'll do something kind of dripping there. That's looking pretty cool. Alright, so let's see. Lastly, our windshield layer, I'm just going to reinforce that. And then do a little bit of cleanup. Alright, so there is this panel. For the most part done. I might do a little bit more little hatching and cross hatching and little detail kind of lines, but this is pretty much good to go. Take my stabilization down and just stuff like this. Make it look like it's erect. It's been nice and clean before. Now it's trashed. All right, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. We're at 42 minutes, so definitely over time, but that's not a bad thing. The basic rule for the 100-day challenge is 30 minutes a day. And I'm going to go ahead and stop with this one, and I'll go offline. I'm going to try to fix my font issue. If I can get that fixed relatively quickly, I'll come back on live this afternoon, maybe around 4 or 5 o'clock, and I will do an episode lettering the comic that we already got finished. So hopefully I'll see you then. If not, I will see you tomorrow again at 1 o'clock. Hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, that kind of thing, and pass it around, please. Thank you, all. Have a good afternoon. Bye.